Today we're going to talk about the proper way in which to take notes in math class. And we're going to use the Cornell note-taking system. It was developed in Cornell University's School of Law and has become a very effective method for taking notes in all subject areas. So we're going to talk about how to set up our notebook first. So we have a spiral notebook, and the first thing we're going to do is set it up into 3 sections. So the first section that you want to divide it up into comes from the bottom. So you're going to count up 6 spaces, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and you're going to draw a horizontal line across the bottom of your page. Then, from the left-hand side, you're going to draw a line 2.5 inches to the right. Now, I don't have a ruler with me at all times, so I'm going to eyeball it. I know from the end of the notebook to the red line is an inch, so I'm going to move over and eyeball approximately 2.5 inches. And I'm going to draw a line vertically down to the horizontal line. Now I have my notebook page divided into 3 sections, and I will always have my notebook looking like this anytime I take notes. So anytime I walk around the classroom, everybody's notes should look exactly the same at this point. Now, from here on in, it may look a little different. The first thing that everyone needs to do, and it's a great habit to get into, is always write the date for your notes. So for example, if it's the 10th of September, I'm going to write 9/10. That lets me know that if somebody says, may I borrow your notes from Tuesday, or Mrs. Kopp says the test on Friday is going to cover everything that we did this week, you don't have to go back and guess what that is. You can go through and look. The next thing you want to do is make sure you have a title. So for example, maybe I'm doing section 2.1 and it's on equations. So I always have a title at the top of my page. That helps me look for things as I go through my notes. Now, the actual notes are taken in the right rectangle over here. So all of your notes are in this section. And as you take your notes, they should look exactly like mine on the smartboard. So in here, this is where you're going to be copying the problems. You're going to be showing all of the work, show the steps. And in math class, a lot of times it helps to number them. So you might want to say, well, first you do this, then second you do this, third next. Or maybe you want to do arrows like this leads to this leads to this. Anything so I can follow your thinking, and when you go back, you can look at it and say, okay, this is how I solved this problem. The other thing you want to do is anytime you have an answer, you should circle it or box it. That way you know that that is an answer to our problem. As you're taking notes, if there are any questions that you have, you use a question mark in your notes. So maybe I solved a problem and we get to the answer and you're like, I don't know if I could do that myself. That's where you would put a question mark, and that lets you know that when I go back to look at these notes again, that's what I need to look a little more closely at and ask Mrs. Kopp for clarification if needed. And then you also want to label things in this section. It's very important that you label any symbols, any terms that are used. For example, a capital B in math class is the area of the base. That is important, and most people don't know it, so that would be something that I would write down. If I'm doing exponents and I have 2 to the third, this is your power. I might want to label that. This is my base. I want to label that. So all of your notes are being done in here. You're taking all these great notes, and I'm just so proud of you. So now as you take the notes, you want to look at the left-hand side, and that side is where you're going to put any questions that you have. So maybe I have a question, and I'm not sure what what I would do if x was negative. So maybe I would put that in there. I would also write the categories. So for example, if we're solving equations, maybe we start off with one step. And so I'm going to write, this is a one-step equation. What does that look like? That's here. And then maybe we do two-step. And that example's here. Then any vocabulary words, any new vocabulary words that you have. For example, maybe you have a term and a like term, and you need to know the difference of that. Or maybe I will say this will be on the test. You want to write whatever it is that I said is going to be on the test. The section on the left, that is kind of an outline. It should be an outline of everything that you've covered. And it is what you use when you are looking for something. So for example, if I say you need to study multi-step equations, you would look through that left side quickly, and so you can figure out, oh, here's the multi-step equations. This is what I have to practice. It should be a quick review. The most important part, I think, is the bottom, and that is the summary. And that's done on your own, and it's done either at the end of the class or for homework every night. So you go home and you should be going through your notes. You should highlight anything that you're not sure about. Any questions that you have should be answered. You don't want to do a whole lot of highlighting though. And the reason is because it becomes redundant and it doesn't make anything any easier. So maybe the categories you would highlight, and maybe the big ideas you would highlight. And then from there, you look at what you highlighted and you look at what you have on your outline and you come up with the summary. And I always say that if you were texting your best friend who missed school that day and they said, "What did we do in math class?" you would tell them the topic that we discussed and what you learned. So for example, you might say, in solving equations, I learned that you need to get rid of addition and subtraction first and then get rid of multiplication and division. Or maybe we do all distributive property first. That should be a summary. It should just be a couple sentences. They don't have to be sentences. It could be phrases. It should just be a review of what it was that you learned. So that the next day when I say, what did we do yesterday? You come back to that summary and you say, this is what we did. Now let's review. You have 3 sections in your notes every single day. 6 spaces from the bottom is the first section. 2.5 inches from the left is the second section. You always put the date in the top left-hand corner and the title at the top. Every day that should be set up. But when I say take out your notes, you should have that ready to go. Then you begin with your notes. Your notes in this section are going to be the problem, it's going to be your work, you're going to box your answers, use a question mark for anything you don't understand, and label your symbols. Over on your left-hand side is going to be an outline of the main topics, any questions that you have, vocabulary words, main ideas, formulas, any of the big things. Again, no sentences, no example problems, just an outline of what it was about. And then again at the bottom is a summary, and that is if you texted your best friend what we did today, they would know. So let's review. Remember to copy the problem and show all of the work. Number multi-steps problems, or you can use arrows to show order. Circle or box all of your answers. And use a question mark for anything you don't understand so that you can go back to it and make sure that that's what you understand. Again, those question marks become very important if you come in for SPP and need help. That's when you come in and say, this is what I didn't understand. And don't forget to label all of your symbols and terms. Why do we do this? This method provides an efficient method of taking notes during any class. It keeps your notes organized so you can revise and review them later, and it allows you to find information easier. Again, if you have any questions, please see me.